to the garage, and I'm going to try and get this bulkhead finished up today. I've welded in plates here and here. First job is going to be this tricky little bugger here. It's awkward because it's so small, so it's awkward to cut out. And I want to leave as much original metal in there as possible, as I don't want to be cutting it right back here. I struggle to even get little cut-off wheel in there. So yeah, that's going to be the first job. I'll put some pictures up of that. I didn't film doing this bit. I probably should have done, really. I don't know why I didn't. The footwells in. I'll put some pictures on there in a minute. So yeah, we'll get that done. We get the other footwell taken out and get all that side prepped. And there's not much left to do on this bulkhead. Then it's just cleaning up all these rusty bits and treating, and then it's ready for paint. Seam sealing, the important bit, and then paint. But yeah, first job's first. Finish my cup of tea. So I think this is going to be the tool of choice today, a little file. I'm going to see, it'll take a while to get through it, but it might be a little bit easier than trying to grind it out a little bit more precise. So, just go around, just go through it, take your time, take it back to good metal all the way around. And yeah, it's going to take 10 minutes this. Right, these little repairs like this, especially when they're on, you've got two different curves there, two different radiuses. They are tricky. You've got a tiny little repair piece to go in there. And they're tricky because you're concentrating all the heat in one area, so you'll very quickly find that you're blowing holes in it, and you've really got to take your time and really slow down. I say it's tiny little repair piece, but if you've got an airline, use it to you buzz a bit in, cool it down. Buzz a bit in, cool it down. You're going to have to admit that it's not going to be the tidiest weld in the world because everything's so localised. But that's where your grinder becomes your best friend. But yeah, so I'll take my time. I'll put you on time lapse because it's going to take quite a few minutes to get in, so you can get the gist of it. But yeah, that's the key advice for that. Really take your time. Take as long as you need for it to cool down. Ideally, between each tack, you want it cold enough so you can touch it. But obviously, my gloves have seen better days. Obviously, I'm not recommending going touching you to test the temperature. These are just what I use for welding. I don't really get many burns nowadays, but yeah, I think my gloves have seen better days. What I usually do actually is turn them the other way around, so that's on the back. I didn't with these because that's pretty good, but I like to be able to feel what I'm doing with the trigger and stuff. I've got a few problems with my hands where I have limited feeling, so if I've got great big thick welding gloves on, I can't really feel what I'm doing with the trigger. I had a lot of years working with really hot materials, and it's just dulled the feeling, the sensation in my fingers. That and working on Land Rovers, smashing my knuckles to bits every other day doesn't help either. But yeah, I'll put you on time lapse. It's enough of me waffling on as usual, and yeah, get this in. Right, and that's that. It's took probably half an hour in total. Make sure I keep it cool with the airline. Because it's in such an awkward position, I could take my time and get that perfectly. You see the little dimple there, and there's a little dimple there. But getting the grinder in at them angles. So what I'll do is literally the finest, almost see-through skimmer filler on top of that, and that'll come up perfect. Yeah, the key is take your time. Don't get it's easy when you, especially if you're not used to welding. It's easy to get carried away and just be blasting welds in all over the place, and then you start blowing holes in stuff, and you end up chasing holes halfway around your bloody bulkhead or whatever you're welding. I don't know if you can see that very well in that picture. But yeah, you can just see that that dimple there. It's not a hole, it's just a little welding dimple, and I don't want to go in too much with the grinder. But yeah, it's easy to get carried away when welding. Really slow down is the key advice for it. Try and keep heat, so you've got enough heat in there to weld it, but you need to keep it to a minimum so it doesn't start distorting and blowing holes. Another thing people don't sort of think of as well is when grinding causes a lot of heat as well. So it's quite easy to, if you're on a perfectly flat panel, it's quite easy to distort it. Just with the grinding, you get the welds in, and the welds, it's perfectly flat. You've took your time with the welds, and then you go in all flat out with the grinder, come back to it, and then it's all warped and out of shape. Yeah, it's because you'll notice when you're grinding, it will start glowing. The metal will glow red hot just with the friction of the grinder. Yeah, slow down a bit. Just be gentle with it. Take your time. Get it down as close as you dare with the grinder, and then I always just go over it with the sander, just for that take that last few foul off. Obviously that's the factory weld down there and across there, which is quite good. It helps hide it a little bit. But yeah, next job, take that footwell out on the other side, I think. Yeah, I'll crack on. Right, I'm going to start taking this footwell out. There's a lot of spot welds, so what I've done is gone round with a marker, marked every spot weld I can find, gone round with the wire brush first so I can clean up and try and find them. If you're struggling to find them, the best thing I've found to use is a wire wheel on a drill. You don't want to take any metal away and sort of smooth the spot welding, so you'll never find it. But there's two types of tools used for removing spot welds. You've got a spot weld cutter and a spot weld drill. The cutters are alright, they're quick, but you are pretty much guaranteed to go through both panels. You tend to as well, because that little point there, have to drill a little pilot hole in it first. It's still quicker, it saves a lot of arm ache, but you will make some much bigger holes using that, and you will probably go through both panels. The cutter, on the other hand, you've got a lot more control. It tends to be a little bit smaller, and you stand more chance of just going through one panel than both. The smaller the hole, the easier it is to weld up as well. If you've got a big hole, you've got a lot of welding to do in there. You can get a cleaner hole with a cleaner weld with a smaller hole. Obviously, whatever you use, it needs to be big enough to actually cut around the whole hole. I'm going to try as well. I'll get you off the stand. As you can see, I've gone round and I've marked up all the spot welds I can see. I'm keeping this panel, so that one's got to come out, and all this one's got to come out. But I'm going to try and get as many of the spot welds as I can, and drill through the side of the panel I'm removing rather than the other side, with the exception possibly of this bit, because I'll be welding it from the inside anyway rather than the outside. You're never going to see this. It's going to have carpet over it, so I'd rather weld it from the inside than the outside. So I'll drill through this way and down all these, trying to keep the lip that goes under the other side, trying to keep that in as good a shape as I can. Row across there, a row across there, and there's guaranteed there's going to be a few little spot welds here and there that I've missed, but we'll find them as we get to it. So right, I best get my strong arm on. Going to get arm ache after this. There's guaranteed. There's no way around it. So yeah, I'll crack on. Once you've spent half your life drilling out spot welds, and I kid you not, my arms are on fire. I've done a few of these, quite a few, and I've never seen one with so many spot welds in it. It was unbelievable. Quite often as well, because this is actually, well, you can see the main reason I'm replacing it there. It's not actually in too bad a shape. If this was just my truck that I was going to be using for work or off-roading or something like that, I'd have probably just patched it. But as it's a full restoration, it's got to be right. I want it to last for another 40 years. So, yeah, that's what you end up with. The spot welds all down there. I ended up using the cutter on them rather than the drill bit. My drill bit started going blunt by the time it's already done that side. So, all round here, all across the top here. I'm also going to... this is in a bit worse condition than I'd hoped. I was hoping this top bit was going to be alright, and it was just a case of repairing around there. But as you can see, it's corroded quite heavily inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on there for now, temporary, so I can get everything lined up. Obviously, that hole's in the right place, so I can line it up on the chassis and make sure, on the chassis and make sure that everything's going to go on. I'll spot weld the new footwells in up to about there, and then once I'm happy with the fit of everything, that then can be cut off and replace the whole bottom section of that pillar then, with the mounts and everything. This side, I've got to do some cleaning up on this side. I'll see how well it cleans up. If there's any severe pitting that I can't get rid of, then I'll do a repair on the bottom of there, cut that out. Same as I did on that side there. Yeah, this was one of the nightmare bits, because there was lots of hidden spot welds that I just couldn't see, and I wanted to leave that in as much a good a condition as I could. So there's still a bit of the footwell still on there. I think somebody went a bit overkill with the spot weld gun while there was. Nearly fell over while I was making it. I've got a repair to do there. That's simple enough repair. Cut that out, measure up, because there's a hole there for the plastic lug that goes in there for securing the dashboard on. So yeah, I'll have to measure where that hole goes, and then what I'll do is I'll drill a small hole, get the file out again, and just file that hole square for the lug to go back in, or the new lug to go in, should I say. Bit of repair work there. That's nothing too major. What I'll do with that is I'll cut that out, get the footwell and get everything in, and then make that patch to suit. A few little rust scabs want tidying up and treating. A bit of a hole there, and then that hole up there, and I think that's this bulkhead done then. There's quite a bit of surface rust on the other side that wants all cleaning back and treating, but it's nothing heavy, it's just literally just surface rust. But yeah, I'll go over that with a sander and clean it all back to good metal and treat it and paint it. So yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to test fit everything now, make sure everything's still square, and I'll clamp it all in and come back to you in a minute. So with a couple of screws and a couple of clamps, that's that into place. See, in usual fashion, the holes don't line up across there, and this leads me back to a point that I made in an earlier video about saving parts until you've completely finished and built it, because so look down here in this pile of scrap. If you look at the size of that hole there and that one there, if you've thrown that away and then you're trying to fit your pedal box, then you might not necessarily notice the size of that hole compared to that one. So now you've got a reference, you know exactly what size hole it needs to be, so you can cut it out. It's simple things like that help you. That's obviously for the longer travel on the brake pedal. Sorry. This is all bloody back to front, this, it's doing my head in. Yeah, that's because I've picked up the wrong side. Yeah, that's... Oh, what's that? That don't match up. What's up with that? Yeah, that's the passenger side one. Yeah, same principle anyway. You cut your hole there. I'm like, yeah, no, that didn't make any sense whatsoever. You've got your hole there. Yeah, so you can match that up. Once you've finished them, that can go in the scrap. Yeah, now I know it's all going to line up. Another thing to note. Oh, I was sitting on the brake. Right, move everything out of the way. Is these, very rarely do you get them where they come flush with that. They're always a bit short. So make sure, because obviously when you take your old one off, if it's an original one, it comes up more or less flush with that. It comes up to about there. So make sure your new one, it needs to sit flush with that panel. It's another reason why I'm leaving that in for now. I've got something to clamp to, something to reference it. Yeah, them two panels should sit flush all the way up, and there should be a bit of a gap there between the mount for the to the chassis and the floor. Yeah, there's still a bit of panel beating work. I've gone round because obviously this gets a bit chewed up and a bit battered, these lips all the way around and around there. So I've gone round it with the hammer and dolly. Now this is screwed in. I can hammer and dolly it to the shape I need. This footwell seems to be a little bit twisted. I think it's just been sat with something on it, so it's a little bit spring loaded. If I take that out, it just goes boing and springs off. It'll not be a problem once it's all welded in. It does stick up a little bit proud there. It's supposed to. It will go down a little bit more because as you can see the gap there, so it wants putting down a little bit more. But yeah, it does stick up a little bit proud of that. Yeah, a little bit more fettling. See, these things, they don't always line up with the reproduction panels. They don't always line up perfectly. But once these joints are all seam sealed, you'll not see any of it anyway. Yeah, I think that's it for this video for now. I've got a little bit of fettling to do. I've probably got an hour or so of messing around, getting it to fit perfect. I'm going to get this done, cut that out. I might even get that little bit done today. I'll save that bit there, and I'll try and save that for a video later on. Yeah, so yeah, as always guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, press the notification bell, comment, ask questions. If you see I'm doing something and you think, oh, you know a better way of doing it, tell me. I want to know, because you can't know everything. Every day's school day, always learning. Yeah, so even like tools that help and materials used and stuff like that, it all comes in handy. Like I said, like, subscribe, notifications. I'm on Instagram, CSM_retro_restorations. I sometimes put some videos, some pictures on there of upcoming videos and stuff like that. And you can also message me through that if you want to chat. Advice is always free, as always. Yeah. See you soon, guys.